Tell us briefly your vision for Tauranga City for the next 6 years.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I'm standing, because the 6 years is too short. You know, the one thing the Chinese do, they think long term. And I looked up the long-term plan for Tauranga, and it's too short. We've got to be longer term thinking than that. So, you know, I only want to contribute a little bit for a few years, but really start thinking well ahead. You know, I'm talking about when we get to 200,000 people here. They say 2064. I believe it'll be 2040.
What 2 or 3 issues do you hope to take up in council?
Solve the real problems. We had a great example yesterday in council of with the 11 Mission Street, and you know, they didn't identify the real problem, and it then became a race issue, and it was crazy. Yeah, one of the main things the council's got to do is work on the real problems, not perceived problems.
Tell us briefly your qualifications and experience in governance type roles.
Well, not too much in government. I've been in private enterprise nearly all my life, which I'm very proud of. Made lots of mistakes as we've gone along, but basically I was in the insurance industry for many years, served as national president for that industry. In Fiji, I served as the chairman of the Tourism and Transport Council for the Fiji Employers Federation for 6 years. And so I also used to lecture in the 90s at Waikato University part-time on financial planning. So that's really my background, private enterprise.
What are the key values that you live by and will bring to the council table?
Well, my dad died when I was young, and I was brought up with my grandfather, who was born in 1880. And you know, the old-fashioned values I got brought up with are the ones I've stuck with all my life. If someone wants, you know, if I have to tell a lie, I quite often go red as a beetroot, because I really, you know, it's not my scene, so I call it straight. And if I don't believe in something, I say so.
Tell us what experience you have in reading and analysing complex and large reports and financial accounts.
Yeah, well, in business, you've always had to look at your accounts. The Fiji Employers Federation, that was, I enjoyed my 6 years on the board there, because the tourism is a big industry for Fiji, and transport's a big industry too. So as chairman, I had to deal with quite a few reports there.
What's your experience in debating complex issues?
Well, that in business, everything's complex. You know, the main thing to do is, before you try to make a stand and solve the problem, you've got to do a problem-solving exercise, you know, and define what the real problem is. Look at the opportunities and strengths of the organisation, work through the opportunities, and then when it comes to analysing it, put a lot of solutions out and analyse them and work through it. Don't just put one out. Like yesterday's solution for the board papers at the Tauranga City Council, status quo was never an option. And in business, status quo should be the basics. You know, where you know, stay where you are.
What sort of experience do you have in dealing with CEOs from a board member perspective?
Yes, as a New Zealand chair of the insurance industry, I had to deal with a lot of them, especially the Insurance Life Officers Association. Yep, and also in Fiji, I was involved with it there. Also, I actually picked the new chief executive for the Fiji Employers Federation through a skill management exercise.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm disappointed that the council workers here seem to have a lot more control over the council than the councillors do. An example is changing all the street names to Maori. Now, they have said they've done a survey of 800 people and 80% agreed with it. Well, that's 640 people. And the 600 people on the council staff, and I think maybe they voted for it, because I still believe English should be our prominent, you know, names on our streets, and if they want to put Maori underneath, do it underneath, but not having it as the prominent name sign. So that was one of the little things that has got me going towards making sure that the council, I'm going to report back if I'm elected every quarter to my ward. So I'll hold meetings once a quarter in the ward and give feedback to them and let them give the councillors feedback. A lot of these councillors, I've never met the councillors until I got involved with the council work lately. I've never met them, and I've been there many years, never met them. They don't make themselves available.